Okay, we're done taking thumbnail pictures. This is really heavy. I ran out of videos in the bank, so I came up with this one on the spot. We're just gonna go through all my 5-star reads from 2024 so far. So we have 14 books here. I don't really know what my rating criteria is or anything. In the beginning of the year, I kind of just gave out 5 stars like they were nothing, and now I've become obviously a bit more picky if you couldn't tell by my other videos. Also, sorry if you didn't hear footsteps upstairs. For some reason, it gets very loud when people are walking upstairs, so please ignore that. You might be able to tell I give out 5 stars to like a lot of series, and it's because I become very attached to characters, so my bad. But it also depends on what mood I'm in. Also, sometimes I base it off of like, I don't even pay attention to writing most of the time, but sometimes I do base it off that too if I really like a writing style. I'm a very character driven reader, so most of these are probably rated 5 stars because of the characters or because of like romance. I'm really a big fan of like subplot romances. Yeah, I don't know, I guess it really just depends on the mood. We're gonna get started because I need to be up at 8 a.m. tomorrow and 10 p.m. right now. It's not too bad. Normally I go to sleep around 1 a.m. so we're gonna try to finish this up a bit quickly. So first we have The Savage Song and Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab, and this is part of the Monsters of Verity duology. First book, second book right here. So basically our two main characters are Kate and August, who live in a world with monsters. Kate is human, August is a monster, and each work for different sides. Kate works for her father, who uses monsters to his advantage. August works for a side where they're trying to resolve the monster issue. They're both supposed to be enemies, but then one day they get themselves into trouble and have to work together to save themselves. I guess I'll just tell you guys why I rated these 5 stars. So I really like this one because it was the first time I read a V.E. Schwab book. V.E. Schwab is now one of my favorite authors ever. I just found the world to be really unique. I find V.E. Schwab's like magic systems to be like very interesting, and also I was so attached to like August and Kate and their subplot romance. There's a subplot romance in here and I really love them because it's also like hidden enemies to lovers because they don't know that they're supposed to be enemies at first when they first meet. There's also like these scenes of them talking on the bleachers, and honestly those were my favorite parts of the first book. And then the second book, oh my god, I don't know, I feel like it just went up a level in the second book. This first book was definitely very memorable because again, my first time reading a V.E. Schwab book, and I really love the world, really love the characters. And August was such an interesting character, right? Because he was a monster, but he wanted to be human, so he tried to imitate like human emotions and stuff. August is the only type of monster that looks like a human. It was very interesting because he looked like a human, but he didn't act like one, so he tried to imitate like human emotions and stuff. I don't know, I just got very attached to everything, and I couldn't read anything else until I got the second book. I mean, obviously I did because it took a while for the second book to come in actually, but I just couldn't think about anything else. I was up at like 2 a.m. just thinking about this first book, like, oh my god, I can't wait to get my hands on the second book. Next we have another book by V.E. Schwab, which is also the ugly cover. It's A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. There's prettier covers, but sadly these were the only ones in stock when I went to the bookstore that one time, so this is what we're getting. So this is the second book in the trilogy. There's 3 books. There's 3 different Londons that exist, and only certain magicians can travel to those Londons. Our main character, Kel, is one of those magicians. Our second main character, Lila, lives in a different London than Kel, but one day Kel gets himself involved with the one London he was supposed to avoid, and he and Lila work together to solve Kel's problem. I don't know. Again, there's a subplot romance in these books. You'll notice that it's a very common trend between all these books that there's like a subplot romance. I don't know. Again, I just found the world to be very interesting. It's like different universes. I believe there's 4 different Londons. It's like Red London, Grey London, White London, and then the one that people are supposed to avoid is Black London, and that's the one that Kel gets himself into trouble with. I also just love the subplot romance between him and Lila. Also, their first interaction was literally Lila pickpocketing him, so I don't know why. I just found it so fun. I also loved Lila as like a female lead. She was such an interesting character, and you could really see like her development in all 3 books. It's very interesting. You'll have to read to find out why, because I don't really want to spoil you guys, obviously. And obviously I said this is book 2 of the whole trilogy, right? The reason why I like this one is because there's a tournament aspect in this one, and I really like reading about tournaments, and also this is where the subplot romance really thrived in my opinion. And also again, V.E. Schwab's worlds are just so interesting. I think I already said that, so I'll move on. Next is book 3, book 4, and book 5 in the Percy Jackson series. We have The Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. I didn't read the first and second book this year. I read them last year, which is why they aren't in here. In these books, our main character is Percy. I'm pretty sure you all have pretty much heard the gist of these books. Percy discovers that he's half human, half god, and discovers there's a camp for kids like him. When he gets to the camp, he is revealed as the son of Poseidon and becomes involved in a prophecy because of who his father is. Percy goes on a lot of quests in these books and attempts to stop a war between gods. Again, subplot romance in here, friends to lovers, probably the best friends to lovers I've ever read, honestly. And I want to say nothing happens between Percy and Annabeth, which is the main love interest, until like possibly the third-ish book. I don't know, I can't really remember, but I think the reason why I rated these a 5 out of 5 was because it's been a while since I read a middle grade series. I started reading these when the show first started coming out, right? I wasn't sure how to rate a middle grade series anymore, but I was really enjoying them despite the fact that they're supposed to be for people who are younger than me. So I think that's why I just rated all of them a 5 out of 5, because I wasn't really sure what my criteria should be when it comes to rating like middle grade books when I'm reading them at this age. So, but they were also really enjoyable. I do think these are like very easy to understand, and also the characters, you become very attached to them. Again, I'm a very character driven reader, so I don't know, I think I also just rated them so high because of the show that was coming out, and I really liked the show too. I feel like the books just made them even better, honestly, even if there were changes in the show. And again, back to like Percy and Annabeth, their slow burn romance, oh my god, it was like subplot romance, slow burn. A subplot romance automatically equals slow burn romance, which I absolutely love. And I like the fact that they started out as friends first instead of like immediate attraction, because it always bugs me for some reason where couples are just immediately attracted to each other. Instant attraction, not my favorite, honestly. So I think that's another factor of why I rated these like a 5 out of 5, because of the subplot romance. But also Rick Riordan's universe just gets so much bigger. I can't wait to read Nico's book, because Nico was probably my favorite character in these books. I don't know, I just like how his universe is so big, and I've only read these first 5 books in the Percy Jackson series. I heard there's a book 6 and book 7. I'll stop rambling and continue on to the other books. Next is the Alred Game series by Nora Sakavic. It's only the first 3 books though, because I haven't read the Sunshine Court yet. So it's the Foxhole Court, the Raven King, and the King's Men by Nora Sakavic. Oh my god, these books were so good. Our main character Neil is on the run, but he's also obsessed with a sport called Exy. So Exy is a completely made up sport in these books apparently, and I found that out I think a week after I finished these, and I fully didn't realize that it was a made up sport. So one day a college coach of an infamous Exy team asked Neil if he wants to join his team. This team is known to have players with troubled pasts, just like Neil. Neil ends up joining the Foxes while keeping his identity a secret, and waits for the day where he'll have to start running again, because he inevitably thinks that after a while, once they find out who he is, he'll have to start running again. That's not the case, because he develops like found family in this, and then there's also like a subplot romance. Oh my god, this is probably my favorite subplot romance of all time, if I'm being honest. It's crazy how attached I am to these books, even though I just read them this year. I also like the fact that you don't even know who Neil's main love interest is in the first book. I always like guessing for some reason, like you never know who it is until like you read the second book or something in a series. I always love guessing love interest, and I have no clue why. I don't know, I feel like guessing the main love interest sometimes is really fun for some reason. If you don't know, then I feel like that also immediately equals to like a slow burn romance. That's the reason why I love subplot romances so much compared to like actual slow burn romance books. And in a slow burn romance book, you know it's a slow burn romance book, but then when it comes to books like these, you have to find out for yourself if there's like a subplot romance. I don't know, the thrill of it adds on to its good qualities. Oh my god, and I also became so invested in this sport, even though it's made up. I know that sounds weird, but once you read these, you'll figure out why, because I don't know, if you've ever read like a sports romance, I have a feeling like most people become attached to the sport in some way. They also learn something. Obviously, you won't learn much from these books because it's not a real sport, but I don't know, just another factor to add on to this. Next book is our first standalone book, actually. I mean, it's sort of part of a series, but not really. It's more like a standalone book and then mini novellas added onto it. It's The Boy Who Steals Houses by C.G. Drews. C.G. Drews' writing is so good. Oh my god. Our main character is Sam. Sam and his brother Avery have been abandoned by their family. Now Sam breaks into houses while the residents are away and escapes before they come back. One day Sam makes a mistake of staying too long, and a family returns to their house while Sam is still in it. Sam ends up becoming close to the family, and the family tries to help Sam with his situation. Again, there's a romance in here that I really like. Also, this family is so friendly, like you have no idea. Like even when they find out that Sam is like a runaway, they're still so nice to him. They treat him like family, and it's so cute. The romance is so great too. Oh my god. I also like the significance of like the back here. Like, can you see all the keys? So basically Sam, every time he breaks into a house, he steals at least one key from the house and like collects it in his backpack. Oh, I guess they're also on the front too. Like, can you see that? That's cool. I also like the ending too. I obviously can't tell you guys because it's like spoilers. I find it very realistic where it's not completely happy, but it's like fair. I guess I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it for you guys. But yeah, C.G. Drews is also another author that became one of my favorites this year. And I think it's just because of her writing style. I don't know why. It's so easy to understand, but you also want to continue reading it. Next book is another book by C.G. Drews, and it's 1,000 Perfect Notes. Beck and his sister are trapped in a house with an abusive mother. His mother was once an aspiring pianist until she was no longer able to properly use her hands and play the piano. And so she's forced her dream onto her son Beck. And Beck is trapped in this very abusive world, protecting his sister and pleasing his mother until he meets this girl named August. And their romance, oh my god. Out of the two of the books, this is probably my favorite romance by C.G. Drews. Their dynamic isn't like grumpy sunshine. Obviously, the girl is very sunshine to pull him out of like his very dark world. But I feel like Beck was just very repressed until he met August. And so I don't know why, but those types of romances where like the romantic love interest force the main character to change themselves. I really like those for some reason. I guess you could say it's the same thing in this book, sort of, maybe. I don't know. I really encourage you guys to go read like a C.G. Drew's book because her writing, again, so good. I feel like her stories are just so well told as well. This one, after I finished it, I immediately knew that it was a 5-star read. Like, you could just tell. It's the feeling that you get with this book. And I rarely find those types of books these days where I want to keep reading them, but also at the same time, once I finish them, I immediately know they're a 5-star read. I feel like it's hard to find those types of books these days. Like, you can enjoy a book, but it's not a 5-star read, or you can sort of enjoy a book and it's a 5-star read. I don't know, but this one, definitely an exception. I feel like it's both of those combined. Next one we have, I don't have like the singular book. It's bound into one giant book with 2 other books. It's Sunreach by Brandon Sanderson and Jancy Patterson. Sunreach right here is the first novella in the Skyward series. Sunreach is about a side character from the main series named FM right here. In this world, humans are almost extinct and are trapped on a planet that's constantly being attacked by aliens, so they're forced to become pilots to fight back. FM becomes crucial in this war to defeating the aliens and helps develop the technology that will help the humans fight back. I don't know. I feel like this is one of my favorite books out of the entire series, despite it being a novella, because we finally got another perspective that wasn't the main characters, and I really liked FM because she was so nice. And oh my god, her romance in this book was so cute. Again, really love subplot romances, and it's very different from a lot of romances I feel like these days, because it was between obviously FM, who's like the sunshiny nice girl, and then a guy named Rig, who's like the nerdy type, but he's also nice. He's not grumpy whatsoever. He's just so different from the other love interests I find in like other fantasy books these days, because I always feel like main love interests nowadays are like murder-y, dark type, grumpy sort of. And so Rig was such a nice change, honestly. And also FM, I really liked her because, I don't know, again, just a very nice change from other main characters. Definitely very character driven, I feel like, this novella, which is why I rated it so high, because I love the subplot romance, love the characters. Honestly, I kind of loved everything about this first novella because my emotions were all over the place, but like in a good way. But yeah, I'll move on. And now we're on to our last 2 books. These ones are part of a series. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe, and Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world. I always say these titles are such a mouthful, and they're by Benjamin Elier Seance. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Our main character, Aristotle, or Ari, can't swim, so one day he's approached by this boy named Dante who offers to teach him, and from there they develop a very special friendship, which later turns into a romance. I feel like these days I can hardly find like really good friends to lovers, and this was one of my favorites to come out of this year. Honestly, these are probably some of my favorite books to come out of this year. Definitely out of these 2, I feel like the first book was my favorite, but I really like the second book as well. But I think I like the first book because I don't really like it when a couple gets together. I kind of like it when they're just together but they're not officially a couple yet, and that's basically where this book ended, when they became a couple. So I don't really know why I read this second book, but I still ended up enjoying the second book a lot. I also kind of like the time period this was set in because, I don't know, you just learned a lot from these books. And also the writing style of Benjamin Elier Seance, oh my god, he has such a way with words. I found out he was a poet. It makes sense. Like, if you read his writing style, it just makes sense. And I also liked that one of the characters was in so much denial for like 3/4 of the book without even realizing it, but he was so in love, and when he found out he was so in love, he just couldn't stop himself. Yeah, I don't know, I just really like those types of characters for some reason, where they don't even realize until like someone tells them or something. Literally, his parents realized he was in love before he was in love, and I just found it really sweet but also kind of funny. But anyways, I think I'm gonna end the video off there. That is all the books that I've rated a 5 out of 5 this year. These are really heavy. Leave down in the comments one of your guys' 5-star reads of this year, or like multiple if you want. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.